Hello everyone, and thanks so much for being with us. Today we've got the latest on Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's resignation, as well as President Joe Biden's meeting with Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez. We'll get you caught up on all those and other top stories of the day, but first, here's a look at the latest headlines. Washington transfers 11 Yemeni citizens to Oman after detaining them for over 2 decades without any charges at the U.S. naval base in Guantanamo Bay, Cuba. The move is the biggest by the Biden administration to clear the detention facility of the people who were never charged with crimes. Mexican security forces clashed with gunmen in one of the country's most violent municipalities, leaving 10 suspected criminals dead and 3 police officers injured. The shootout occurred in a region which is home to warring Mexican drug cartels. France urges its citizens to avoid visiting Iran until the French nationals detained there are released. Tehran jailed 3 French nationals back in 2022, including 2 on charges of espionage. Indonesia formally joins the BRICS, a bloc consisting of developing economies like Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. Indonesia's bid to join the group was approved during a summit back in 2023. And a powerful 7.1 magnitude earthquake hits the Tibet region at the northern foothills of the Himalayas, killing at least 95. Parts of India and Nepal also felt the tremors. We begin in Canada, where Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has announced his resignation, ending his 9-year stretch as the country's leader. In a public announcement, Trudeau said he would step down in the coming months once the Liberal Party chooses his successor.
I intend to resign as party leader, as Prime Minister, after the party selects its next leader through a robust, nationwide, competitive process. Last night, I asked the President of the Liberal Party to begin that process. This country deserves a real choice in the next election, and it has become clear to me that if I'm having to fight internal battles, I cannot be the best option in that election. As you all know, I am a fighter, and I am not someone who backs away from a fight, particularly when a fight is as important as this one is. But I have always been driven by my love for Canada, by my desire to serve Canadians, and by what is in the best interest of Canadians. And Canadians deserve a real choice in the next election. And it has become obvious to me with the internal battles that I cannot be the one to carry the Liberal standard into the next election.
The Prime Minister bowed out after an internal revolt fueled by the recent exit of Chrystia Freeland, Trudeau's Deputy Prime Minister and one of his most trusted political allies. Now, as Trudeau prepares to leave, the Liberal Party will select its next leader by holding a nationwide leadership contest. In the meantime, the outgoing Prime Minister has already requested the Governor General to prorogue Parliament until March 24th. The possible contenders to succeed Trudeau include his new Finance Minister Dominic LeBlanc, Foreign Minister Melanie Joly, Innovation Minister Francois-Philippe Champagne, and Transport Minister Anita Anand, and former ally, of course, Chrystia Freeland. But Trudeau's successor might not be the Prime Minister for long, as the most immediate challenge would be fighting an early election after the opposition's expected no-confidence vote. Meanwhile, President-elect Donald Trump renewed his offer of making Canada the 51st state of the United States just hours after Trudeau resigned.
Many people in Canada love being the 51st state. The United States can no longer suffer the massive trade deficits and subsidies that Canada needs to stay afloat. Justin Trudeau knew this and resigned. If Canada merged with the U.S., there would be no tariffs, taxes would go way down, and they would be totally secure from the threat of the Russian and Chinese ships that are constantly surrounding them. Together, what a great nation it would be.
Donald Trump has always had a rocky relationship with Trudeau, and his return to the White House was not good news for the Canadian leader. Soon after his victory, the president-elect threatened a 25% tariff on Canada if Trudeau failed to curb the flow of illegal drugs and migrants into the United States. The prime minister met Donald Trump at Mar-a-Lago as a show of goodwill, but the president-elect instead humiliated Trudeau and called him the governor of the Canadian state.
People are right to be angry. They've got a prime minister who's more interested in protecting his own job than defending Canadians against Trump. We've got a prime minister who's failed to defend workers from rich CEOs that the Conservatives love, who continue to rip off Canadians and drive up the cost of food and homes. The prime minister has failed. For New Democrats, it's always workers first and not CEOs. And not CEOs who the Conservatives want to defend. So will the prime minister acknowledge he has failed? He has to quit.
Now, as the Trudeau era comes to an end, it remains to be seen how a new Canada without Trudeau's charm would shape the relations amid the looming threat of Donald Trump's unforgiving policies. And here in the United States, Donald Trump's eldest son is visiting Greenland amid his father's renewed desire that the United States should own the self-governing territory. In a social media post, the president-elect confirmed that Donald Trump Jr. will arrive in the Danish autonomous island with various representatives. The post also included a video clip of an unnamed Greenlander wearing a MAGA hat and supporting Donald Trump's idea of buying the island. Now, reports say the younger Trump has no plans of meeting officials in Greenland during the one-day private trip. Donald Trump Jr. instead plans to record a video for his podcast while exploring the cultural sites in Greenland.
As someone who has traveled to some fascinating places across the globe as an outdoorsman, I'm excited to stop into Greenland for a little bit of fun this week.
Nevertheless, his father linked his visit to his much larger ambition of ownership and control of the world's largest island. Trump reignited the controversy in December last year when he said Greenland's control is an absolute necessity for the United States, citing national security reasons. However, he was rebuffed by both Greenland and Denmark, which previously rejected his plan to acquire the territory during his first term in office.
Well, a lot of things could be done. I mean, essentially, it's a large real estate deal. A lot of things could be done. It's hurting Denmark very badly because they're losing almost $700 million a year carrying it. So they carry it at a great loss. And strategically for the United States, it would be nice. And we're a big ally of Denmark, and we help Denmark, and we protect Denmark, and we will.
Of course, Greenland is not for sale. I totally agree with Kim Kielsen, and by the way, Greenland does not belong to Denmark, so it's not a matter for us, but naturally, Greenland is not for sale.
And now Denmark's king has changed the country's coat of arms to include Greenland and the Faroe Islands in what is being seen as a rebuke of Donald Trump. Meanwhile, the incoming president's renewed interest in buying one of the most strategic islands has received criticism, and rightfully so, at home. Several current and former U.S. officials have pointed out that the territory is not for sale, and the idea of acquiring it could alienate Greenlanders and Danish people from cooperation with the United States. Greenland has about 57,000 residents and was completely a Danish colony until 1953. While it's still part of the Kingdom of Denmark, the island now has a wide-ranging autonomy. In 2009, Greenland achieved the right to claim independence through a vote, and the island presented its first draft constitution 2 years ago. And staying in the United States, the Department of Defense has designated China's Tencent to a list of firms that work with the Chinese military. Tencent is a social media and gaming giant that owns two of the most popular apps worldwide, including the do-it-all app WeChat and the gaming app PUBG. Now, with the inclusion in the Pentagon's list, this does not result in immediate sanctions. However, it does impact the reputation of the firm. Following the announcement, shares of Tencent fell by 7% on the Hong Kong Stock Exchange. Also included in this list is a Chinese firm called Contemporary Amperex Technology Limited, or CATL, which is the world's largest battery maker. Now, according to the Pentagon, both Tencent and the CATL collect data for the Chinese military and could possibly be carving out operations on behalf of the Chinese army inside the United States. However, both Chinese firms have dismissed their inclusion on the list and called it a severe mistake. Meanwhile, several Republicans are now calling for TikTok's parent company, ByteDance, to also be included in the Pentagon's list. ByteDance remains a key player in the Chinese Communist Party's military-industrial complex and has been repeatedly accused of spying on American citizens.
But I'm particularly concerned about TikTok's connections to the Chinese Communist Party, which repeatedly spies on American citizens. It was reported last year that China-based employees of ByteDance have repeatedly accessed non-public data about users in the U.S. despite TikTok saying to the contrary.
Now, under President Joe Biden, Washington has taken a hardline approach toward Chinese tech giants, with TikTok now staring at a nationwide ban by January 19th if ByteDance fails to find a U.S.-approved buyer. However, President-elect Donald Trump, who once himself wanted to ban TikTok, has done a complete 180 and is now supporting TikTok's operations to continue in the United States.
We'll take a look at TikTok. You know, I have a warm spot in my heart for TikTok because I won youth by 34 points. And there are those that say that TikTok had something to do with that. It was amazing. So we got the highest vote ever for a Republican candidate. We won by 36 points with young people. That never happens. A Republican loses by 36 or 40. So I'm going to have to start thinking about TikTok. I think we're going to have to start thinking. Because, you know, we did go on TikTok, and we had a great response with billions of views, billions and billions of views.
The tech rivalry between Washington and Beijing continues with less than 2 weeks to go before the incoming president's inauguration. Donald Trump has previously taken a hardline approach against China. However, it remains to be seen how he will navigate the growing crackdown on Chinese tech giants, particularly after admitting he has a warm spot for TikTok. Exiled Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez met President Joe Biden at the White House on Monday. After being endorsed by President Biden as Venezuela's true leader, Gonzalez held discussions with Donald Trump's team. The exiled leader's visit to the Washington comes just days before Nicolas Maduro's contentious inauguration for a third term. And as Gonzalez rallies international support, tensions in Venezuela escalate with mass protests planned in an attempt to stop Maduro from taking the oath this week. Here's more in our next report.
A day after taking a trip to Argentina, exiled Venezuelan opposition leader Edmundo Gonzalez took his fight for democracy to Washington, D.C. The man, who claims to have won Venezuela's disputed July presidential election, met outgoing U.S. President Joe Biden at the White House on Monday.
He accompanies me from the heart. He accompanies us in the effort that we are making and which is received with affection.
Gonzalez, who fled to Spain in September under threats of arrest, has been a thorn in Maduro's side. He accuses the Venezuelan leader of rigging the election, and his claim stems from the opposition published vote tallies that shows Gonzalez with double the votes of Maduro.
I feel in a position to assume the mandate that was given to me by the will of the people on the July 28th. With fear you don't go to war. So I am convinced that I will travel to Venezuela by any means.
Despite the figures, Venezuela's government-aligned National Electoral Council declared Maduro the winner. And even after repeated appeals, the council failed to release the official tallies.
Fear exists, we are all afraid. But we must be brave for our children and for a country that voted joyfully and won an election. We told the world that the tallies are there, and they have not shown the tallies.
However, the White House meeting offered a rare spotlight on Gonzalez's campaign to reclaim the presidency. According to a White House readout, President Biden openly endorsed Gonzalez, emphasizing a peaceful transfer back to democratic rule. Then, taking to X, the outgoing president called the exiled leader the true winner and reiterated his support, mentioning that Gonzalez should be the one who should be taking the oath. Now, it's also worth noting that Gonzalez's visit to Washington wasn't just about shaking hands. It was part of a whirlwind regional tour to rally support. Apart from meeting Biden, the exiled leader also met with Mike Waltz, President-elect Donald Trump's national security advisor, and discussed plans for civic protests in Venezuela and global strategies to restore democracy.
Our teams are in contact with President Trump's teams. They have been doing so for some time now. We will continue on the same course because our relations are going to be very, very close and very beneficial for the relations between Venezuela and the United States.
But Caracas didn't have it. Maduro's government lashed out, branding the meeting grotesque and accusing Biden of backing a violent anti-democratic project.
Let the whole world know that on January 10th, 2025, we will ratify our unwavering commitment to Venezuelan democracy and recognize Nicolas Maduro Moros as the constitutional president of the Bolivarian Republic of Venezuela, re-elected for the 2025 to 2031 term, to whom, as our commander-in-chief, will solemnly swear loyalty, obedience, and subordination.
Defiant Maduro didn't hold back. During a televised address on Monday, he assured he will take oath as president-elect.
It is clear and unquestionable, lawyers say, that on January 10th of the first year of the mandate, the presidential candidate elected and proclaimed by the electoral authorities must be presented before the National Assembly, and that is what is going to happen in Venezuela. The swearing in on January 10th, 2025, in peace, in national union together with the people. There will be no fascism. There will be no imperialism that can stop it.
Despite the threats, Gonzalez seems undeterred. In a bold message to Venezuela's armed forces, he reminded them of their duty to defend the constitution and called on them to respect the will of the people. The stakes are high. The opposition has called for mass protests on January 9th. In the coming 3 days, Maduro plans to take the oath for his third term. But Venezuela's streets simmer with discontent, and the world watches closely. Will Gonzalez's crusade ignite the change Venezuela craves? Or will Maduro tighten his grip? The next few days could rewrite the nation's history.
Day after day, it's becoming evident that billionaire Elon Musk is no stranger to controversy. And now he is at the center of a bizarre tale involving a fan account and accusations of censorship. The spotlight is on an ex-user whose sycophantic post sparked rumors that he was Elon Musk himself. Now a detailed investigation debunked the claims, but the fallout escalated dramatically, with accounts of journalists suspended and links to their findings locked. Critics are now questioning the Tesla CEO's commitment to free speech as the saga deepens. Our final report brings you more.
Elon Musk wakes up each day and courts chaos. From tweeting whimsically about other billionaires, world leaders, to reshaping social media, the tech mogul never fails to make headlines. But this time, the controversy revolves around a curious question. Is Musk secretly running a fan account? The saga began with Adrian Dittman, a user on X, who seems to adore Musk. Dittman's posts gush over Musk, calling him an amazing father and praising his virility. That's when some fans began speculating that Dittman was Musk's burner account. The theory gained traction because Dittman's voice eerily resembles Musk's, and he often engages with the billionaire on X. Enter Jacqueline Sweet, a journalist with The Spectator. Sweet investigated the rumors alongside Swiss hacker Maya Arsen-Cremieux and journalist Ryan Fay. Their findings were clear. Adrian Dittman is a real person, a German Musk fan living in Fiji, and he's not the Tesla CEO in disguise. Musk, however, added fuel to the fire, responding to Sweet's tweet, which now stands deleted. He joked, "I am Adrian Dittman. It's time the world knew." And what followed seemed straight out of a dystopian tech thriller. Within hours, Sweet's account was suspended for 30 days. X flagged her story as unsafe, preventing users from sharing it. The platform accused her of doxing, even though her report relied on public information. Sweet called out Musk on the rival platform Blue Sky. "Elon is mad, I ruined his game," she wrote. She denied any wrongdoing, insisting she merely debunked a conspiracy theory. Now, as the events unfolded, critics were quick to accuse Musk of hypocrisy. The self-proclaimed free speech champion seemed to censor criticism, and Sweet's suspension, paired with the block on her story, raised serious questions about Musk's commitment to transparency. Meanwhile, Dittman continues posting, claiming he's just a devoted Musk fan. But the uncanny similarities between his online persona and Musk's public image leave lingering doubts, with a question: could there be more to the story? For now, the billionaire seems unbothered, reveling in the chaos he thrives on. But as critics sharpen their knives, you can't help but thinking, what is Musk's next move in this ever-twisting saga?
That's all we have time for today. Thanks everyone for watching. We look forward to seeing you right back here again tomorrow. Donald Trump's return to the Oval Office is imminent. He will soon take the oath of office and once again lead the nation.
God spared my life for a reason.
President-elect Donald Trump's first priority: tackling illegal immigration and securing the nation's borders.
We're going to fix our borders.
The incoming administration has prioritized the Russia-Ukraine war. Can they succeed in ending one of the world's most challenging conflicts?
I will have the horrible war between Russia and Ukraine settled.
And as he returns to the White House, will Donald Trump resume a bruising trade war with the world's second largest economy, China?
If China or some other country is behaving badly, we have things called tariffs.
All of this and more right here on Firstpost America.